What's up guys, it's Manga Time once again. I'm here to bring you my review of Bleach 579, The Undead 6. And Bleach comes back from its week break with a rather unspectacular chapter, unfortunately, but it is essentially an aftermath chapter. I'm surprised it's called The Undead 6, because like I said last time, The Undead is generally reserved for chapters of significant Kenpachi importance, and unless one of the events in this chapter turns out to be the case, then that doesn't really happen this week, so that's kind of weird. But anyway, it starts off with Graemies Imagination, and he's saying, like, was I killed by my imagination? No, I wasn't. And, I imagined his powers perfectly. And we see Kenpachi arrives, and it's good to get a little bit of what's going on after their fight, because this is probably the most interesting part of the chapter. Gremmy's just lying there in a pool of blood, and what happened is what I said happened in my review, that he tried to imagine his own power, Kenpachi's power, but Gremmy's body couldn't take it. So he tries to make excuses for his loss, but then he basically accepts that he is just making excuses. And then his body starts to break away. Now, immediately I thought this was like a visual representation of him being absorbed by Ohana, but it's not. It's actually more like Gremmy was like the Aranira of the group, in that this little like a tub with a brain in it falls out of his body. And Kenpachi's like, what is that? And Gremmy says that I told you I'd try and kill you without even using a finger. And it's revealed that this brain is the real Gremmy. Right. And he says, like, even this body of mine was created by my imagination. And so, and he didn't use one finger against Kenpachi, which actually is true. That is the case. But he's, like, breaking away. And you get some really cool art, actually, on this bit. For the most part, the art in this chapter is a little bit strange, I think. I don't know why. It all looks a bit kind of angular. But the scene where Gremmy is just breaking apart, it looks fantastic. But yeah, he says, my imagination is reaching its limit. I feel lonely thinking about the world I'm going to where I can't imagine anything. So, presumably he's dead, but it's kind of hard to say because the brain in the box is just left there. So, obviously he's not going to be doing anything. But, well, no, I'm a little bit confused by this, because he says that his body, Gremmy's body, was made by his imagination, which implies the brain itself is doing all the imagining. So, how is he dead? All that's happened here is that the brain hasn't lost. Well, he has lost in a way, but basically he tried to imagine Kenpachi's power, and the Gremmy body he created broke apart. The brain is still there, and presumably fully functional, so I actually have no idea where that's going to go. Anyway, we don't see more of that. The stage collapses, and basically all the red shirts are like, yeah, I can go and find Kenpachi because his fight's over. So, yeah, so the brain is still there, it's just sitting there. Kenpachi's like, even the stage you created vanished without leaving a puddle of blood. Then he coughs up blood, and we see that he's taken quite a bit of damage. Interestingly, we also see that he's sealed Nozarashi, which is pretty awesome. So Kenpachi does just have a regular Shikai now, which is cool, I like that. And he's like, I guess some of my organs were damaged. Now, I don't know if this is relevant or not, but because this is now the most interesting part of the chapter. He says, because of that explosion, I can't even hear properly. Now, I'm not sure if that's relevant or not, because what happens now is he says, he's like, Yachiru, where are you? It's over. And we find out that Yachiru's clothes are on the floor. Now, what immediately comes to mind is this is very reminiscent of the holification incident in the Turn Back the Pendulum arc, when Kensei and Mashiro found those clothes on the floor because those people had been destroyed by holification. Now, I doubt that's happened here. Kenpachi, he notices her clothes and he's like, look, he looks down at them as the red shirts arrive, all happy, like, you won. And Kenpachi says, did you see Yachiru around? And the guys are like, no, I haven't seen her. And Kenpachi's like, look for her. And as he says this, it starts to rain, which is generally never a good sign. And then basically the red shirts are like, what's the point in us looking for her if you can't even find her? And Kenpachi rages out. He's like, I told you to look for her. And it's just like, whoa, okay. So it's cool seeing Kenpachi show this kind of concern for Yachiru. So everyone goes out to look for her, and Kenpachi just kind of is left with his thoughts, which is just like, Yachiru. So what do I think's happened here? Yachiru's disappeared, leaving only her clothes behind. I honestly think there's two explanations for this. Number one is a bit out there, but I imagine a lot of people will probably think this. Yachiru is Nozarashi. The last time we saw her was when Kenpachi said his release command, drink. And as he said it, Yachiru was looking up into the sky all shocked, and she had that memory of the two of them thinking about their names. And then she's never seen again. So it could be that after Nozarashi comes out, that's it, Yachiru is his Zanpakuto toe spirit. Might explain why she lost her clothes. But honestly, I think there's a couple of things that counteract that, and one of them is the fact that when Kenpachi was about to fight Kenpachi Giganjo, he heard. Actually, no, that doesn't counteract that at all. I was mistaken then. He's not hearing his voice then. He's hearing his voice because he's with Ohana and that. Oh, possible, actually. It could be that. I kind of feel like that would be a bit... Like, lots of people have expected that Yachiru is actually his Zanpakuto spirit. And I don't know, I kind of think... Like, how does that even work? Like, she has... Wait a minute. I'm just kind of getting, like, revelations over and over. Isane... Well, I was going to say that it wouldn't be possible because Yachiru has her own Zanpakuto. But when Yachiru released her Zanpakuto, Sanpo Kenju, they made a big thing about Isane going like, what the hell kind of Zanpakuto is this? This doesn't seem like a real Zanpakuto. Maybe Yachiru is Nozarashi. But then who's going to be the vice captain? Like, maybe Ikkaku will get promoted, but then... unless Yachiru... If Yachiru is Nozarashi, then Ikkaku... Then, she might just be the vice captain until Kenpachi needs to use his sword. But my kind of other theory, which I don't think is necessarily as viable now, is that Yachiru was taken by Ohana. Now, I don't know why she lose her clothes, but I really kind of thought Ohana might appear here. I thought that was why the chapter was called The Undead Six, because that was a big Kenpachi moment. But I mean, if Ohana doesn't show up now, then she really might be dead, which is a disappointment that I'm still not really accepting. Anyway, this bright light appears behind Kenpachi, and a huge bolt of thunder, or lightning, strikes the Shinigami. And, he looks around all shocked, and you hear this voice that says, lucky, now that all the idiots have gathered up, we can catch them all at once. And it was pretty obvious who this was immediately, because everyone has already guessed by now that Candace Catnip is the Thunder. And yet, they all arrive. Candace, Giselle, Lil Toto, and Meninas. A couple of interesting things to note. Well, not actually a couple of interesting things. Well, Candace is obviously the Thunder. Everyone got that. I mean, this is why... And then, there's no sign of Bambietta, which is weird. Absolutely no idea what that's all about. Lil Toto comes floating in with an umbrella, which I think is odd. I'm not sure what that's got to do with anything. Oh, wait, probably because it's raining. Okay, that's not important. But also what's important is like Lil Toto is eating again, so she's probably the gluttony or something like that. Other than that, though, there's not a lot we can glean from this picture. But this is kind of where I think Kubo's art looks a bit weird. Like, Candace looks weird in this picture. She looks oddly disproportionate. And I don't know, is she like holding something, or her fingers look super weird on her hip? But yeah, she looks odd in this picture. So does Giselle. Like, her legs are all suddenly strange and weird looking. But yeah. And this picture is reminiscent, I think, of the Tres Bestias. But, that's just... Tres Bestia even, sorry. But that's just Kubo, and that's because these characters look like rip-offs of just about everyone in the series. But yeah, that's the end of the chapter. The four of them arrive to fight Kenpachi, presumably. That's kind of a weird ending, because I was surprised that Kenpachi would get another fight so soon, unless like Ikkaku, Yamichika, and Hisagi get back up to fight them, which wouldn't be surprising. But then of course they are far away with Master Masculine. Um, I'm not interested in these four girls at all, so this is not particularly exciting. And for me, I wouldn't be too bothered if Kubo dropped them in like a chapter, but it's not going to happen. Lil Toto is bound to be the Gluttony. Candice is like the Thunder. As for the other two, I don't really know. The only two I'm interested in is Lil Toto and Giselle. And there's no sign of Bambietta whatsoever, so it could just be that Giselle absorbs people, but that'd be kind of disappointing. I don't know how that would fit in with Zed either. Unless she eats people, then she could probably be the zombie, but that'd be creepy. Another kind of thought is that Yachiru might have been eaten by or absorbed by Giselle, but I don't think that's likely, since they just appeared to have just arrived. But yeah, that's kind of it for this week, guys. Panel of the week is probably the one where Grammy's breaking away from me, where he says like my imagination's reached its limit or something like that. That's the best panel in my opinion. It's really detailed, looks really cool. But I'm going to give this chapter a 7 overall. It's not really that much happens, and the Yachiru disappearance is easily the most interesting part, and just the character of Gremmy as well, being a brain, that was interesting. But you know, the arrival of the FemRitters, I'm not too fussed about. But yeah, that's kind of it this week, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the chapter. What do you think's happened to Yachiru? That's probably the biggest question this week. Do you think she's dead? Probably not. Speaking of which, also, if Gremmy's been defeated, like, I can't say Rose alive, or are they actually dead now? So yeah, let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and give the video a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys later. But until then, see ya.